Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for another breakfast with Blaha. And today I'm having fat-free Greek yogurt, frozen mango, and milled flax seeds. Let's talk a little bit about nutrition. And this is something worth noting when it comes to guys who are trying to make leaner gains. Right? They're trying to make leaner gains. And here's the problem with trying to make leaner gains. You have less food. Should be pretty obvious. And that makes the process more difficult because calorie surplus does what? What does calorie surplus do for us? A lot more anabolic hormones, larger insulin response, more protein, more nutrients, more total calories for fuel building blocks, just producing anabolic hormones. In other words, even junk food puts muscle on you. Okay? More calories will always help you gain muscle while you're training. Always. And in some cases, I want to be clear, some of you skinny guys, this info is not for you really skinny guys. All right, if you are 20 pounds under really what you know your ideal weight's going to be to have the muscle that you want to have, some of this advice can be largely disregarded unless you want to spend 10 years following it. A lot of you kids don't need to worry about insulin sensitivity, inflammation, all those things going on. You need to just be knocking down food. And in that case, red meat, fatty meats, okay, dairy, white rice, peanut butter. Knock those things down, and let's be realistic here. If you need to gain a bunch of weight and a bunch of muscle, a bunch of non-lean ground beef and white rice cooked and mixed together any way that you need, whatever sauces you need to put in it, is an easy way to do it, right? Your food doesn't have to taste good. Your food doesn't have to be this gourmet, amazing meal for you to just push a bunch of anabolic food down your throat. And that will do it. If you need to put pesto sauce on it, if you need to put spaghetti sauce on it, whatever seasonings you need to do to just cook that beef, cook that rice in a rice maker, mix it together and eat it. Right? Eat peanut butter by the spoonful, which actually will fall back into what I'm talking about though. But if our goal is to try to make really lean gains with a small calorie surplus, which again, I will tell you is harder to do than people make it out to be, and I don't like to always promote it. It absolutely can be done. Just be aware that your margin of error is lower. And if you get it wrong, you're going to gain zero muscle. And that's the problem. It's that small calorie surplus. Can I gain 1 pound per month? All right. The quality of your food matters. Recovery is going to matter. Right? You're going to have to focus more on foods that are going to help you with all recovery through the body. What does that mean? It means not eating a bunch of saturated fat. And I know everyone will listen to the other and be like, that's conflicting advice. No, it's not. Saturated fat causes inflammation, reduces insulin sensitivity. It's not ideal. White rice over time reduces insulin sensitivity. Okay. If we're trying to do something that's completely optimal here, not the case. Right? You really need to be focusing really heavily on the fats that improve insulin sensitivity and reduce inflammation. That's omega-3, omega-6, and monounsaturated in that order of priority. Because they're each better at it. Each one that I listed as it goes down is less effective at it. I mean, to the point where that's part of the problem with a lot of the fattier cuts of meat. They're basically just saturated in mono for the most part. And, again, higher saturated fat with a bunch of mono, because mono is kind of neutral, doesn't necessarily enhance these properties. It's just benign. Not really ideal. So, again, fatty fish, nut butter, seeds, avocados, whatever you need to do. Quality fats. But that's a very, very, very high on the list is good fats, and you need plenty of them. This whole idea that, well, if I just do a really low-fat diet, I can bulk and gain less fat. It's not going to work. Looks good on paper. Looks good on paper. It's not going to work in practice because we need to keep insulin sensitivity high, and we need to keep inflammation low, and we need to keep recovery on point. I'm actually going to say your overall bias in your diet should be towards protein instead of, moderate protein, really high carb, low fat, which in theory should work here. And actually does work pretty good for serious bulking. For people who can handle lower fat on the appetite, that's okay. But if we're trying to do very small bulks, I don't think that's the way to go. You need to focus more on protein. Protein overfeeding, again, be a satiety problem for some people. A lot of clean fats. Call them healthy fats, whatever you want to call them. Prioritize the order I gave. Keep saturated fat within a threshold. And that doesn't mean you can't eat any, right? You can eat a pound of lean steak every single day, actually up to 2 pounds of lean steak every day, and do what I just described if it's lean. Don't eat fatty dairy. Eat fish every day. Take your fish oil. Use nuts as a high source of calories, and nut butters. Almond butter is what I prefer, but you can use peanut butter also. Get all your fat-soluble vitamins in. Quality fats. Protein overfeed. Figure out filling in the rest with whatever carbs you need. What do you need to fuel your training? And it might be less than you think you do. This way we keep insulin sensitivity high. All right, due to our food choices, the protein will supply plenty of the insulin you need. If you're eating 300 grams of protein a day, you're not going to have a problem, probably even with training fuel, most of you, unless you're doing a lot of GPP. It's going to be a problem then. You are going to have better tendon recovery. It's not all about muscle growth. There's a lot of tendons and everything that involve, and those foods help with inflammation and repair of tendons, connective tissue. All right, plenty of vegetables. Now, if you got room to spare for carbs, fruits, whole grains, good idea. Lots of vegetables. Load yourself up with veggies. Steam them, by the way, you get less gastrointestinal distress. I'm not telling people to eat raw vegetables. I'm actually not a big fan of that from a nutrient absorption perspective. Steamed and cooked vegetables, lots of them. Again, we come back over to optimizing all of the antioxidants, polyphenols in our diet. Again, another benefit of a lot of the nut butters. They tend to be high in a lot of those things. All right, maximize recovery. This is what we are looking at. Can we maximize recovery for every single calorie that we take in? All right, this lets you have a larger anabolic response with less food, which for people who are trying to really slow bulk, kind of important. Here's some general advice. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.